Good afternoon, good Saturday to everybody. This is Pete at the Roaming Prepper, and I hope all of you are doing well today. First and foremost, if you cannot hear me or see me, fancy intro. Please let me know if you cannot hear me or see me, or if I sound like Satan or something like that, because that would mean something is wrong. In any case, good afternoon or morning, depending on what part of the world you're in. And I'm glad you guys can make it. Joe, Lucky, Monique, everybody can hear me. So thank you very much for that. I am going to start off with what everyone's been talking about lately, the Hurricane Henry. So let's take a peek at what is going on the East Coast, because it doesn't seem to be a lot of fun. And so here we are, folks. It's we need a young priest and an old priest, or a drunk Irish one. That works too. I actually went fishing with a very drunk Irish priest once, and that's not a bar joke. It actually happened. For another day. Found shotgun shells. I was after cheap and some 22. That's good. And actually, Joe, I'm going to touch on the ammo thing here in a minute, because apparently, we should be messing with imports instead of worrying about what's going on overseas, according to some of our leaders, but I'll get there in a moment. So here we go. Hurricane Henry, I believe it is expected to hit the East Coast, the tip of Long Island, right across. It's basically going to go across Suffolk, and then looks like it hits Greenpoint, Long Island, and then it's going to go tromping into Connecticut and the northern side of the Long Island Sound. Now, hey, Loretta, I'm glad you made it. A few things to note. A lot of this, we don't have thieves, criminals, and yeah, we do, Joe. That's the truth. A lot of how much damage this hurricane's going to come in as a Cat 1. We typically in Louisiana and the coast of Texas, we won't evacuate for anything under a 3 or 4 typically, if we evacuate at all. A lot of this for that part of the country is going to be dependent on whether or not it hits at high tide or not. If it hits at high tide, what you're going to have is that part of Long Island. If you notice right where let me see if I can get my scroll here. You see this area right here, what they call the northern shore of the island, if you will, south of Connecticut. If the dirty side of the storm is typically to the right side when you're looking at it at a map, or on the east side, often referred to as the dirty side. So the storm is spinning counterclockwise, is pushing water from east to west. If it hits during a high tide, what you're going to have is a mass of water is going to get pushed. Hey, Klingon Princess, I'm glad you made it. Virginia Roots, thanks for being here. You're going to have that mass of water is going to get pushed into the Long Island Sound, into all the channels. And that's where you're going to see a lot of that flooding, that damage. Unfortunately, in that part of the states, well, fortunately for them, the rock is very consolidated. You have a lot of limestones and consolidated formations. That makes it easy to tunnel and make subways and all that fun stuff that New York City and those cities are known for. On the flip side, because half the city is under sea level, if you get a large mass of water pushing into you, you're going to wind up with what happened in Sandy. Hurricane Sandy was perfectly timed. It wasn't per se a strong storm the way storms we've seen in the Gulf Coast. They hit Florida, hit Louisiana or Texas. But it came in at the perfect time to basically put 2 feet of water over Manhattan on the southern end and drop it into the subways. And from there, it just went right up the island. So, folks, if you have friends up there or you live up there, depending on where you are, I would take precautions. Obviously, you want to do things like prepare your response kit, your hurricane kit, have flashlights. As a Cat 1, we're not looking at winds, what, between 60 and 75 miles an hour. It'll do some damage. I wouldn't go running around outside or skateboard in that, but it's not going to be a showstopper as far as, you know, horrendous winds. When the hurricane hit Puerto Rico a few years ago, it came across as a Cat 5. The wind speeds were basically an F4 tornado, but it was a massive F4 tornado, and it just flattened the island. This is not what you're going to see here. So no need to panic over this one, but do be aware of your geology. And that's actually something I'm going to touch on in a video that I've just finished, I think finished editing. We'll post later. It's basically understanding geology and how it affects preparedness. In that part of the world, unlike, say, Houston, which will flood in a heartbeat and then drains out just as quickly, that's very hard rock. It's not a bayou. It's a, hey, P31 mama, glad you made it. Hey, Monique. Somebody, I think Monique went zooming by there. Anyway, sorry, guys. The chat stopped and then went, woof, and I just saw a bunch of names go by. So if I missed you, I apologize. This is not a massive storm, but it does, you know, it bears preparation. Have some food, have some water, expect power to go out. You have a lot of pine trees. The coniferous trees like to bust at the top third and fall into the power lines. We found that out on the north side of Houston several times with the hurricanes. We didn't flood, but the pine trees will just flip over at the top half and they'll drop into power. Maples, elms, those kind of trees that you find, the more deciduous trees, they're going to drop leaves and cones everywhere. And that's the kind of stuff that kills transformers. It gets hung up in there, catches fire. So, guys, not a showstopper. Yeah, they crack on the top, and then that part is usually what falls down. Yeah, and dropping into, as Lucky Dame points out, dropping into your transformers and knocking out your subdivision. So, and all it takes is one good branch to hit a power line the wrong way, and it'll knock out a whole area. And it'll take the repair guys and girls, you know, a day and a half to figure out exactly what happened and then fix it. The fix isn't the hard part. If you have someone who is kind of new to prepping, have them go to ready.gov and do the 101. Here's your symbolic kit so you don't have a freak out in a hurricane. You know, basic things, dust mask, plastic sheeting, towelettes, some tools, a manual can opener, which blows my mind. For all the hurricanes in Houston, people were still without a freaking manual can opener. Not even a P38 like the old ones. No, nothing. So they're asking the neighbors. So yeah, don't do that. But anyway, look, if you have some new friend that become missiles crashing, yeah, woods, and especially like if you have lawn furniture, stuff like that, try to secure it. If you don't have a stable shed somewhere to hide it. What I've done in the past is stack the lawn chairs, and then I duct tape the crap out of them, out of the arms, because they're all stacked together, and basically make one huge ass heavy chair out of it. And typically that won't fly away. But if you have individual plastic chairs, they get caught in the wind, they start flying around and they go over the fence. Hey, Hutch, I'm glad you made it. And they'll go and break windows and tear up other stuff. So yeah, refer any newbies to the ready.gov. That's a great 101. Here's your symbolic don't freak out kit, and then they can start building from there. Surprisingly, they don't put toilet paper here, which kind of surprises me because they mention it down below. Pet food. Yes, and don't forget your pet food. And if I can get my daughter X on the phone or on the line, we will do a prepping for your pets seminar. She's probably saved about 800 animals in her career so far. So she's well versed in animal injuries and care, and she'd be a great resource. So because there's none left. pretty much. So anyway, so just an update. Hurricane Henry may not be as bad as we expect. That being said, take some precautions, tell your friends, have some stuff ready, and kind of move on from there. The fact that anybody, hey Bug Dude, hey Stuart, I'm glad you made it. The fact that anybody does not have a hurricane or a first aid or an emergency kit after 2020 floors me. Like I can't compute it. Even if you've never been in a hurricane, earthquake, tornado, or riot, you should have saw that. Just pay attention. But anyway, this has come up, and actually, I think Lucky, you touched on that, and on your video the other night, which I'm gonna have to catch on the replay because I ate something wrong and I was sick as all get out yesterday. So the FDA, in theory, is going to give approval to the poke on Monday or Tuesday. Now, the big question is, if the FDA approves it, can companies mandate it? Can they force their people to take this, or is it still optional? That I don't know. A lot of it will depend on the company. It will depend on their philosophy, on their employees. Most insurances will cover the pinch as, and by the way, the word the pinch, the first guy I've heard use that was just Josh. I've heard other people call it the poke, the jab, the medicate. I think Appalachia calls it medicate. Pinch was Josh, which I thought was really a funny word for that. But in any case, yeah, so we don't know. They just reported earlier today that the pinch by the company that starts with an M, just stick it up there. Well, the sleever, yes, Lucky, the sleever's another one. And honestly, Joe, it's one of those Jabberwocky. The sleever, that's a good one. We don't know where this is going to go. And then there's always the question of HIPAA laws, freedom of medical choice, my choice, my body. So if people on both sides of the political spectrum pay attention, it's not good for anyone. Because if you force one side, oh, you have to take the pinch, then at some point the other side, if things change, they may be like, well, we force them to take the pinch, so you have to do what we say on these other matters. So yeah, it's and the meds that require 2 pinches apparently are showing a trait of enlarging around the heart, which the third med does not show because it's based on 100-year-old science. So, they were like, yeah, this is, you don't die, and that's about it. There's a lot going on there. And again, this is a very new medicine, at least in the public's eye. So yeah, no. And truthfully, I've read through the HIPAA, Lucky, and there's a clause in there that says in urgent situations, they can force you to bring documentation. And basically there's a get out clause in the bottom of the HIPAA rules. It took me a while to find it, but I did eventually find it. So yeah, Lucky's on point there. So in any case, we'll see. We will see. Hold on, there we go. We will see where that goes in the future. Again, they're saying the decision, according to Politico here, the Food and Drug Administration is on track to approve the vax for adults as soon as next week. And then it goes on to kind of explain the different caveats and concerns. Yeah, the same as providing school record shots. So yeah, it's whether they can or can't, freedom of medical choice versus what they perceive as public safety. That's going to be contentious. I expect we're going to see a lot of court cases out of this. So we may see segments of medical law change, or that haven't been challenged in the past may get challenged now. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Really, we've all been kind of talking about it for a while. So It's no, and Hutch is right. They're not listening to religious exemptions or anything like that. And again, it could be it could wind up getting challenged. People are going to challenge it on different levels to see what they can get away with. So we'll see where that one goes. Speaking of battles, I like that duck, duck, boom. That was funny. This one came from Guns and Ammo, but it's been on other newscasts. Biden administration bans Russian ammunition. So I guess it was what? Today's the 21st, or was yesterday or day before. The administration decided to ban import ammunitions. So why now? I don't know. They could have done this when they first took office. I don't know if they're trying to distract us with the approval of the Pope and the bullet ban, that they're trying to distract us from the fact that a country we supported for 20 years just fell over. And actually, I've been speaking to folks who are recently returned from there, and I learned a bunch of stuff lately. Yeah, well, they'll have more to send that way. Well, here's the thing, Klingon Princess. Now the T, our friends overseas, have American weapons, which are much more accurate at distance. So it's almost like you may as well let us have the ammo because they got all the guns over there. I don't know. It's frustrating. But in any case, late on August 20th, 2021, the State Department added new sanctions that will impact available firearms ammo. And the sanctions are expected to take place September 7th and remain in place for a minimum of 12 months. You never know. Bug Dude, that's an interesting point. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, and Lucky's absolutely spot on. They're going to use the public health caveat, which will probably exempt. It's like a trapdoor. Yeah. In any case, well, not a total surprise. This will have a negative overall effect on the unstable ammunition market. Will affect several brands familiar to our readers: Wolf, Tula, Barnaul, and Red Army Standard. Even for those that don't use the Russian ammo, you can expect to feel some more pain at the register, as the presence of relatively cheap and typically reliable ammunition basically goes down the toilet. So in any case, I'm kind of glad they canceled that last shoot I was supposed to go to, because I've been finding goodies as I reorganize my garage. I've been finding extra goodies, so that kind of makes me happy. But yeah, so they tried to basically they're trying to limit. I guess they can't be rid of the pews, so they're going to get rid of the pew pellets or the freedom seeds, whatever you want to call them, and cause us more of a kerfuffle that way. How it gets challenged, I don't know. That's interesting, because that technically is an international trade issue, which does fall squarely on the Fed, as opposed to what Texas and Oklahoma recently did, which was not only pass constitutional carry. Oh, well, Texas goes into effect September 1st. Lucky, cross-check me there. September 1st. Yeah, that's a good one. And yeah, so we'll trade canning lids for 9mm. See, that's a good one too. We're seeing prices go up, and yeah, it's been interesting, guys. They use our State Department to collect taxes and tariffs against us. Yeah, that's kind of an irony there, isn't it? Technically, the taxes and tariffs they collect are supposed to protect our businesses from unfair competition from state-sponsored companies. And Monique has a good point. Studying various law, I guess we all need to do a mental or legal prep in that respect. Start understanding the types of laws, how they affect us, what we are or are not subject to. you never know. You might have to bring that into court. Right now, they're again, they couldn't ban the firearms, so they're hitting something else. If they can't do that, they're going to hit. They'll try to hit a lead or gunpowder or something like that, some component that will screw us up somehow. Hey, Chris, I'm glad you made it. Yeah, and basically, Joe's got a good point. We may get to a point where it's just like, all right, well, whatever, it's illegal, give me a ticket kind of thing. Hopefully we have people who will actually, who are voted in, who actually will do something about that. And Lucky points out that September 1st is legal carry. Now, important note for those of you from Texas, that's only within the state borders. So if you choose to go to another state, for instance, Oklahoma is very Second A friendly, you still need a physical card, like a license, to go from state to state. Don't assume, well, it's constitutional in both states, so I can go either or. Technically, no, it's for the resident of said state. So it would behoove you, if you travel a lot like I do, which I did anyway, and I've advised a lot of young professionals I talk to. All right, Hutch, hey, be good, man. Take care. Thanks for stopping by. It's still open carry. It is open carry. You still have a license, and I think Lucky just pointed it out. Yeah. So, and part of the reason for this is that way the cop can at least see that you have the firearm. It's not like a sudden surprise. You do need a physical license to cross state borders, and you need apparently, if Lucky's on point, and she usually is, a physical license to conceal carry. So, yeah, you keep an eye on that. That's a positive thing. Of course, now they're banning certain rifle ammo. Honestly, the Russian ammo ban won't affect handgun ammunition very much, because most of that is made domestically. Unless you're rolling around with an old Tokarev or something like that. Most of the modern firearms are 9x19, more Western rounds. So it shouldn't affect the handgunners. Shotguns are kind of made domestically anyway. So it'll be a very niche of the ammunition market. Now, this may be an attempt to see what they can or can't get away with at a later time. So, yeah, pay attention to that. Oh, hey, Joe has an update. Idaho is open to anyone over 18 or not. Open or concealed. That's new. That's interesting. Okay. So, well, that's good to know. So, guys, again, before you travel, it doesn't hurt to check the laws of the states where you are to make sure you're in compliance. Because of my business, I've been known, I actually will call the state troopers in a state I have never visited before if I need to ask them. I'm eyeing Idaho because Washington may. Yeah, well, Washington is in trouble, Virginia, because of the cities. It's not the rest of the state. The cities got screwed up and have overrun the state is the problem. Yeah. Well, it's going to, and Joe's right, it's going to hurt us regardless. You won't see the hurt as much in certain aspects or others, but in general, we already have an irregular market. It's a lot of shortage. So, yeah, that's definitely going to cause a problem. And hold on just a second here before I flip subjects. So, Lucky, are you where you can talk? Let's see if we can get oops, I did something wrong here. Who's on here right now? Monique, sorry guys, I'm trying to. Hey Jack, how are you? Glad you made it. Hey Bug. Let me get my headset plugged in. Cool. That's a bueno idea. We're gonna get lucky on here if I can figure out how the hell to cut and paste with this damn thing. Hold on. Success. Actually, I'm gonna switch. Bear with me, folks. I'm gonna switch to a headset as well. All right. Can you guys hear me? 0 by 5. All right. In theory, that should work. Let me, in the sense of people living together, here we go. No, and Klingon has a good point there in that you will deal with a lot of folks who don't know how to behave themselves, and they'll lash out and start being angry. I'm going to put the fancy microphone I received from, hey, Caribbean House, I'm glad you made it. And can you guys hear me now? Okay. Thank you, Jeep. I appreciate that. And I think I sent Lucky scrambling for a headset, so she should be back. So I'm going to go to this one here. Hold on just a second. And Caribbean House says hello to everyone. Hey, Don, I'm glad you made it as well. Let me share screen here. And if I can share nicely. Oh, and here comes Howdy.
Howdy. How are you?
Good, good. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not subscribed to Becky Dame, she is a fellow Texan and has
Yeehaw.
a lot of neat information regarding a lot of stuff that if I don't see it, she'll see it, and vice versa. Too bad we don't have Josh here. Then we could have the Texas trio.
that might be an interesting panel to have, actually.
That would be.
There's a lot of us here in Texas. In fact, I think I found a channel that is kind of in my area. Which,
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm not outing myself to them, or I'm not going to out who they are, but
No, that's fair enough.
yeah. But I was like, oh, look, this channel's here, and they're actually not. Well, they're in preparedness, but they're more on the homesteading side of things.
Right.
So kind of interesting.
Oh, and see that I had a coworker that recently moved to my area that I'd known for years, at least a decade. And then one day, I don't know what we were talking about, and we were watching the riots, and we were on a conference call. And then I said, well, if those folks are smart, the ones coming out of that office building, they should immediately assume a gray stance and disappear into the crowd. And he immediately sends me a Teams chat saying, like, gray man, gray. We need to talk. And here's a guy I knew for 11 years. Who's a friend of mine. We clay shoot together, and
you were both gray, and
we're
you
both
one slip of
enough.
yeah.
And I threw that out there, and two sets of ears went up from two different people. The other one was a homesteader. So that worked out well. So,
yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a mess, y'all. So ISIS, I don't know if you saw this one, Lucky. ISIS is threatening to attack despite the Taliban telling them no.
Yeah, I have. Afghanistan, yeah, it's a big old effing mess.
Yeah.
And it's, emotions running high in our household. Mr. is prior service, and I believe you are as well, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you did time in the sandbox, but he did.
No, I did not. I wound up getting held back because of things like Harvey, and they needed an engineer.
Okay.
And ta-da! But I have one of my sons is out there right now, and some other friends And yeah, I can absolutely understand why Mister's emotions are running high.
Yeah, well,
Um,
you know, and he was not actually in Afghanistan. He was in Iraq, but he had a lot of buddies after he was out.
mhm,
They did do time over there, and we know a lot of people who did. And, you know, in the last couple of days, I've talked to too many guys who are, you know, having some strong emotions and feelings about, you know,
right.
basically feeling like it was a waste. And why'd you send me? You know, it's real
What have we
emotional.
accomplished there?
Yeah, it's all
Yeah.
been for naught, all for naught.
So I have
And it's a
colleagues out
mess.
here. One was a MARSOC sniper, and he'd been out there several times to this specific country. And
Hmm.
he said what he's hearing from those friends that are still in, who are now back there with the Marine units. So, for those of you unfamiliar, there are two Marine battalions and an airborne that went into the. So, airborne went into the airport, the Marines went to the embassy facilities, and
Hmm.
they're all slowly collapsing back to the airport. He said he can't imagine the ROEs that they have imposed on them.
Yeah.
Um,
And
I
for
mean,
anyone
they
who
have
doesn't know what ROE is, rules of engagement, how you interact with locals and enemy and everybody while you're in
right,
country.
and I
It's
mean, we've seen the videos. These guys are literally 10 feet apart from each other
yeah.
over sideways cars. So it looks like Stuart Joe. You finally figure. Wait, what is this? I don't know what I don't know what those two are talking about, but that's kind of funny. Um, yeah, and Chris has a good point. They kept us safe back home. Uh,
Yeah. Well, you know, and I'd mentioned I started doing a stream actually on Gray Man the other night, and I took it down because I got a bit emotional on it, just upset about the whole thing going on over
yeah,
there, all of that, and you know, the main thing that I wanted to put out was to tell people, and I've been telling folks that we know you didn't. It's not your fault. You didn't.
no,
I'm just going to hush up because it's like,
yeah,
you know, you didn't fail the country. You did not fail. Your
no.
mission
They did
didn't
their
fail.
part.
It was the administration's, in my opinion. The
Yeah.
administration has
No,
failed.
I know 45 had set a timeline, but my understanding was his
Hmm.
intent was to leave Bagram
Hmm.
in a small JSOC contingent, basically a very small footprint, more as a, do you really want to do that because these guys are still there? Um, I never got the impression it was supposed to be a complete collapse of our
I
presence.
Yeah, I kind of didn't think it would be, at least not for a quite a while. It would be a slow collapse, slowly pull out over time, not,
Right,
hey, pack it up, we're out of here in a month, pop smoke, you know? And
right,
that's pretty much kind of what it's been. You know, everyone's saying, "Oh, this has been going on for a month." That's still pretty quick. That's really fast. You know, and
yeah,
everyone's upset with the amount of equipment and everything that's being left over there. A lot of it, my understanding anyway, and please correct me if I'm wrong,
no,
because I frequently am. My understanding is a lot of the things that we left over there, the drones, the pew pews, the freedom seeds, haha,
yeah,
MRAPs, all of that were left for the Afghan army specifically. You know, they put up zero feet. They chose not to do anything with it. They stood back. So of
yeah,
course the bad guys come in, scoop it up. But it was left for with the intent for the army. And my understanding was when they pulled out, it was they didn't even really notify
no.
the
Um,
president. They said, "Hey, did anyone tell him?" Oh, they didn't. They literally guys called and said, middle of the night, "Hey, yeah, we just left. You might want to go get that stuff we left you." And they were like, "What?"
well, yeah, and
So
they don't have a way of, how would you say, they can't react. Um, didn't we clear not Bagram? It was another base, and basically in the morning, the Afghans showed up and our guys were gone
yeah,
under orders.
yeah. Yeah, that
So,
was one day they came in and it was like, where is everyone? You know, and look,
yeah,
here's all this equipment and goodies left for us. You know, it was
yeah,
left for the army. And yes, we've been training the armies and we've been there for 20 years now, you know.
yeah.
So yeah, there's, you know, people who are trained and learned on all of our equipment, all the things that we left for them. But, you know, a big part of this too is its
Well,
culture. It is an extremely different culture over there. You know, it's Afghanistan's even very different than Iraq. You know,
yeah,
it.
and it's a different culture.
Hmm.
Also, I think a lot of the a lot of their defensive posture was based on air assets, air maintenance,
hmm
which now they have Blackhawks they can't fix. Now the Taliban has Blackhawks, is what happened.
Well, and it's like someone was pointing out, I think it was, I don't know if it was Ghost or someone on a stream a couple of days ago were pointing out, that, I mean, we knew this and I didn't think about it because I just kind of was like, oh yeah, that's right. There is, I mean, yes, there's the Afghan army, but there's also, the bad guys are inserted into the army.
Yeah,
They're everywhere. So, it's not like they necessarily just kind of came out of nowhere. They've always been there. They're always there. There's always an element
right. And
there.
there were a lot of attacks, insider attacks as they called them,
Oh yeah.
between got people we were training would suddenly turn around and shoot up the other
hmm
Afghanis.
Yeah.
And actually, Joe points out 90% of, yeah, I agree, Joe, as far as like the MRAPs, the Humvees, but there was some newer tech left behind too.
Yeah, I was gonna say there
Um,
was new stuff. It wasn't all worn out and all junk.
oh,
We
this is a
did
good one.
leave good stuff for them.
I like Bug Dude's reference here.
It's been out in the middle of the night. I don't know. Oh my
Potatoes.
god, potatoes.
That's good. But hey, I'm going to share this with you guys. This is CNN. I kind of killed the audio. I'm not sure how I did that, but I don't know if you can hear anything.
No, I don't.
But anyway, they're basically videotaping all the equipment we left them, which is now
Wow.
a lot of this is ancient. I mean, you saw that last MRAP had flat tires,
Yeah.
but that was new. That was working just fine.
Yeah, you can see the flat tires there on that one on the far left.
Yeah. So
Well, I mean, and some of it too, the Humvees, the MRAP, stuff like that. I mean, between the time they notified the locals of, hey, we've pulled out, you might want to come get your stuff that we've
yeah,
left you. How much of that walked away? I mean,
right.
that,
Oh, it went black market. Absolutely.
oh, yeah,
Hey,
shoot, yeah,
Catskills.
absolutely.
Catskills
They
just
come
joined
in
us.
and, like Mr. was saying, he says, it's the mindset of, oh, hey,
Yep.
this has a water pump. I can use this at home. Let me take this. Oh, it
So
broke. Oh, well, inshallah.
to inshallah, yes.
Yeah.
To Joe's point, they may wind up disassembling half the crap anyway to be used for like domestic uses.
hmm
Um, but God, we left a lot of M4s, a lot of sniper rifles. One guy was toting a doggone night vision scoped rifle.
hmm
I just, you kind of wonder if all those weapons are going to slowly make their way into Europe, into Africa, and cause more trouble there.
It's always a possibility for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, this is and guys, this is something kind of in the background. DHS put out an alert. Let me see if I can bring it up for you guys here. Let's see. Here we go. I don't know why I have Paw Patrol on my damn computer. Anyway, I don't have any little kids in the house.
Uh-huh.
DHS warns heightened risk of violence ahead of 9/11 anniversary, a new terrorism bulletin. This was about a week ago. So we're starting to see now. I think my biggest fear, Lucky, is Lucky. I almost called her Lucky Sandwich the other day on a chat
That's okay.
because
You
I'm
can do
getting it
that.
all mixed up.
Everyone still calls me Sandwich. That's all right.
My biggest concern is we've emboldened a bunch of a-holes who now said, "Oh, we made them run away." This wasn't like Vietnam where all they wanted was their own country back. They got it back. Okay, we're happy.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
No. Well, it's a whole new generation also. In 20 years,
Yeah,
they've had, that's why I was saying it's like, it's been 20 years. Yeah, 20 years ago, it was
yeah,
pretty organized to be able to do what was done. They've had 20 years to continue to organize, to learn, to grow, to do a lot.
yeah.
So I did like Ghost's comment. He's pointed out a few times, and I keep repeating it because it's true. They did look awfully clean cut, impressed for
Oh
their
yeah.
photo op when they rolled in, right?
Oh, I love that one guy. As the people are hanging on the plane, and then there's this one dude right in front of the
Mm.
camera who runs by and goes like this, and
Yeah.
he's
Oh yeah.
smiling, happiest dude. And
So,
like he just wanted a selfie. He
somebody has photoshopped that to put a sign in his hand that says the previous guy won. I don't want to say the name. And could you? Yeah,
Yeah.
it says the T-Man won. It says T-Man won.
Yeah, and then I get the penalty box from
Yeah, I was gonna say
the
I don't want to
two.
say it if I don't want to have the Google mods rush you. But yeah, it
No.
says T1.
Oh, this is good. But Joe, they're pushing the narrative of equipment, but the army destroys it. Yeah, and the truth is we don't know exactly what got left, but it's a problem. And again, the question is as someone had pointed out, I don't know if it was Hutch about distractions. Is Afghanistan meant to distract us from what's going on domestically or vice versa? Because notice we have this disaster over there, and all of a sudden we have these very subtle approval of the pinch and the ammo bans and these other things popping up.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's always going to be things that'll slide in like that nobody's going to pay attention to because
Yeah.
they're looking at the big shiny thing that's over there making noise.
Yeah.
I mean, the ammo thing, yeah, I think that slid under a lot of radar. Definitely.
Yeah, I
The
didn't even
average
see
everyday
that.
citizen is not really, unless you're maybe in the shooting community or in, have some reason to keep up with it.
Yeah.
The pinch, and I kind of talked about this a little bit last night. I don't know that this is necessarily a distractor. Sorry, my phone just beeped to me. I'm wondering what's going to come of this because people are making noises of 25th Amendment.
Yeah.
Because this is bad. And if it gets, can it get worse?
Yeah, that interview with Stephanopoulos was not impressive. I mean, regardless of whether you agree or disagree with decisions.
Well, other countries are reporting. I shared last night this Greek news site that I shared. They're making sounds of, oh, he's on the way out and the VP's on the way out in. And I thought that's pretty bad. If other countries are starting to say that, yes, if they're saying it and they're stating it in their news, then
See, and that's concerning because then it wonders, the devil you know and the devil you don't.
Exactly. Yeah, that was something we talked about last night. It was like, okay, it happens. However it happens, however it goes down. Let's say he's out. Now what?
Right.
Now what?
And I think that's the biggest question in politics now today is people do things and then that now what question doesn't get asked in advance.
Well, and I'm going to point out Bug Dude said it, and I agreed with him. He said pretty much what I was thinking, which is if that were to happen and she steps up, then she becomes the hero. She cleans up the mess and, puts on the strong front. And I thought that's an interesting theory. And that's kind of what I'm thinking as well. I don't know. I mean,
see, and a lot of other candidates, Tulsi, Susan Rice on the D side, if you will, had a lot more experience overseas, internationally, militarily, as politicians, ambassadors. She didn't. So that question of just competency, that knowledge base to do the job.
She hasn't even been to the dang border. I mean, come on. She hasn't done. I mean, she's met with heads of other countries.
El Paso.
Oh, did she finally?
Well, she did, but she stayed in the city. She didn't go actually to the border checkpoints or to the facilities. No. She went to the city and spoke to the civil rights something or other and did some symbolic hand waving and then left.
Photo ops. Yeah.
Yeah. We've seen prior presidents, several of them, go to the border more than she has. So Tulsi was too much of a base stem for the right. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, she was more middle of the road, a little more in that mold of Moynihan and Bradley, and the common sense kind of part of the party, which now they don't get elected anymore. But yeah, this is interesting. So I got one more for you guys, and let's see. I want to get Lucky's take on this as well. And thank you for jumping on, by the way.
Sure. Thanks for having me up here. I appreciate it.
Catch you off guard like that.
Oh no.
I'm trying. I've noticed that people enjoy the live streams more when we start. You get a few of us on here and we start negotiating and debating and going through stuff.
Oh, well, sure. It's a lot more fun when you have, have a larger
Yeah,
conversation, and it's, I think it's a little different. There's this delay between us and the chat. And I say that every time I go on, I'm like, okay, guys, there's a slight delay. And
right.
so sometimes you're kind of behind on what's going on in chat, but
I don't know what Monique was referring to here.
sounds like a well-organized cabaret.
I missed something apparently. And it's funny when you do the chats, and you've probably experienced it too. You're kind of watching what you're doing, and the chat's going by, and you'll miss something, and then
Yeah.
you'll see a comment completely out of context, and you're like, "What are you guys talk? What?"
Yeah.
And you highlight it, and you get a bunch of LOLs in the chat. But
It's like,
yeah,
what did I
it's
just do? Yeah. It's
what
like
did I
something
just
completely
do?
out of
Are
context. I
we
do it
all
all
going
the
to get
time.
kicked off now? So this one I wonder about, because we are coming up on the 20th anniversary of 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on this one? Because I mean, we've just emboldened a bunch of
Is
a-holes out there.
is this the same one that was issued
This was like a
just a
week
few
and a
days ago?
half
Okay,
ago.
the one
Yeah.
a week and a half ago where they also slipped in a domestic
Yeah.
terrorist thing.
The
Yeah.
original the
Mm-hmm.
original was with domestic, and then
Uh-huh.
this one,
I thought
so
that
foreign
was
groups or attempts to inspire homegrown terrorists.
mm,
So I
but
guess homegrown Al Qaeda's, we've had those.
it covers that, but it also covers people who disagree with getting the pinch and have
Okay.
ideas of that. If you've read it, I looked at it and I was like, wow,
Mm,
it's a big old blanket that covers a lot, not just
good.
potential bad actors from overseas or anything to do with the Taliban, any of
Right.
that kind of stuff. It also addresses people who may have, I don't know if it says radical thoughts or conspiracy stuff. It's all of that
Yeah.
domestic that don't agree with things surrounding the pinch.
Yeah, and they
And
also point out in this article, several Jewish holidays also fall in September, including Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur.
they always, I mean, that's
It
kind of
comes
standard.
every
They
year.
always,
Yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say they always throw that out there. I don't know if it's just a big old blanket to cover anything and everything, because Israel and Iran are trading words, you
Yeah,
know.
and I think that concerns me more than anything, because if Iran does the wrong thing, I have no reason to doubt
Iran's
Israel
crazy.
Israel will turn Tehran into a slag heap,
Oh
and
yeah.
then the whole kit and
It's
caboodle
just
is going to come
yeah,
apart.
if one goes off, everybody's jumping in. It's going to become a dog pile.
Oh yeah,
I mean, that's just how I have always envisioned it. That way, it's like all it will take is just one to start something. Doesn't matter who it is. One starts something, and everyone jumps in, and the entirety of that region will be glass.
yeah.
I mean, really, there will be
Something will be
nothing standing.
glass.
There will be nothing standing.
Which then brings the old biblical references of Gog and
Mm-hmm.
Magog, and
Mm-hmm.
the end of times occurring ironically in the cradle of civilization.
Right.
So yeah, this one here, according to the advisory, the Al Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula recently released the first English, I can't speak today, language issue of the Inspire magazine in more than 4 years. I'm sure they didn't just conjure that in a few minutes. They've probably been
No.
working on that magazine for a hot minute
Oh, sure.
before they threw it out there. But again, they I don't know. That's kind of depressing and somewhat annoying to say the least.
I'm
So,
seeing Catskills Prepper's comment there.
oh, with it.
The Facebook post that you had shared last week
Oh yeah,
about being too prepared. I had not seen that one. Now, I actually haven't. Now, I'm not on the Book of Faces very much at all, really. Um, not anymore. Mister goes on there, I think probably more than I do. And he was the first person I knew of who was started getting some of those messages. And the ones he was getting were just, do you know someone who is, extreme or has different viewpoints? Yours was the first time I saw where it specifically said being
right.
prepared.
And that went to Mama Bird over here, but she got it from someone else. And we've got a lot of dog tags and boots and you know
Hmm.
fire trucks in the family, so to say.
Sure.
So people are always collaborating on on info, and hold on, I got something in the background playing noise that I don't like. I don't know. I hate when I do that. I click something and it starts talking. Um, but I hadn't seen that before. Someone sent that to us, and then she sent it to me and said, you guys should click yes and see what happens. So actually, Joe, I went on Facebook on my personal page, and I had to search for it, and I eventually found one of these. So I clicked it, and it just lists like law enforcement and counselors and um,
It just gives you like resources to,
yeah.
like, if you want to get help or talk to somebody or something like that. It's not
But
an actual, here, tell Big Brother all about it.
no, and actually, it's funny the way they word it, where they say other people in your situation. How do they know
Hmm.
that? Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. How do you know they didn't become part of the T band? I mean, I just find it funny the way it's all marketing blaha. They word it to make people feel comfortable
Hmm.
with clicking yes,
Yeah, exactly.
and
It's all psychological.
most people won't sit there and critically think
No.
about what it is they're being asked and why is it being asked. I got called a smartass on another chat. What the hell
You
did
were?
me? And I try and dilute politics versus substance, but sometimes you have to throw the politics in there
Yeah,
because the president or someone makes a decision, it affects preparedness. I mean, that's
right.
just. And I don't know what I did. I got called a few things in the chat, and eventually that person got kicked out of the chat, so they may have been a troll. And I'm sitting here going, man, that visceral reaction to
Hmm.
people you don't agree with, it's almost as
Yeah.
if we've been training the last 8-10 years of people to just not be able to handle disagreement in a civilized manner.
I think there is that to a certain extent. And I think a lot of it right now also is emotions are so high and have been ramping up more and more. I kind of mentioned this last night as well. For the last year and a half, it's like more and more and more just keeps happening and happening and happening. And I'm waiting to see, are more people going to start reaching more breaking points? Are we going to start seeing more things happening like the man in DC? You know,
Yeah,
whether you think that was a false flag event or not, it could very well be. I took it at face value because people do
yeah,
have issues and people, go through stuff and have change of medication. Things happen. And,
and
are we
uh,
going to start seeing more people hit their breaking point and tempers flaring? I mean, heck, when you go to the grocery store and people snap at each
oh yeah,
other for wearing a damn face covering, excuse me, or not.
yeah,
I
and
mean,
yeah, it's you've I've seen. I think it was a combination of things. Well, the when they closed the doors on everything, so to say, people got isolated, and a lot of folks didn't know how to handle
yeah.
that solitude. I'm very confident. I'm sure you've heard the same through your channels that a lot of people you there was an uptick in domestic violence. There was an uptick
Hmm.
in abuse. There was an uptick in just general evil stuff that was done between people during
Hmm.
that time. And I'm pretty sure people are not quite. A lot of folks are not quite right. They're still what is this? A snitch machine? Somebody said, Joe. I think.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Oh yeah, she's absolutely right.
Hmm. 1984. We're in
Yeah,
it.
I don't care for sleepy during no potty mouth. And Donna, that's fair. Sadly, we seem to be going to extremes. It's been a while since we had one of those presidents that even if you disagreed, you're kind of like, well, he's got a good point. That person speaks well. That's interesting. I don't agree for you, but. And now, like you said, Lucky, it's just these extremes and people becoming very explosive, which is new.
Yeah, there's not a lot of gray area anymore on
Yeah,
things. People are, um, yeah, you feel either one way or the other, and not much, in the middle. And people aren't really looking to be respectful or
yeah,
to be understanding, or to step back and say, well, let me consider how you think, your position. I may not agree with that, but no, it's becoming less and less. So
yeah. And so you could you don't even need a terror threat, you could just have somebody who's off their rocker. Actually, I'm going to share this real quick. I was looking for this earlier when I first mentioned it. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, the ISIS terror threat. So, okay, so that was the case. They're having to go. Oh, this was just updated. So, establish alternate routes to the airport. You look at that. My God, that mass of people there.
And look, you can actually see some women there. You can see the, oh, I forget what
It's
it's
funny you
called.
mention that.
I mean, because before I haven't seen any women until that's the first time, except on that the first plane where they showed the
Yeah,
picture inside, and you
and there
did
were
see
families.
families, right?
Yeah,
You saw families and children. Otherwise, this is the first picture I have seen that wasn't just all men.
right.
And I don't want to sound disrespectful. I used to know what the full covering was. I don't want to call it the beekeeper outfit, but I know it's what people jokingly call it. There's a correct name for it, and I don't remember off the top of my head.
Hajib? No,
It's not the
no.
hijab. The hijab
The
is
hijab is just the
the
headset.
head, right? Each piece has a different name, and I used to know it, but I don't. But there's an actual name
Yeah, I
for
can't
the
remember it.
full face covering because it's mesh in the front and it's got a little
Right.
padding on top of your head because it's very heavy and all this kind of stuff. But
Yeah. And
um,
you know, this is scary because one, how are they vetting these folks?
exactly. Well,
And
in the whole application process, they said they had however many thousands and thousands of applications for people to get out. It's like, well, that had to have started. That didn't start 48 hours ago. They,
no, this has been an
this has
ongoing
been, yeah.
this has been an ongoing thing. And again, we knew if there was a deadline, then you can't really blame the past guy because you knew there was a deadline.
Hmm.
You've been in place 6 months. At least you should have been taking steps. If the State Department makes public, hey, we're drawing down after this time. If you don't make your way out of the country, you're on your own. Fair enough.
Right.
As a president, I could go on the TV and say that. Well, we put out alerts. We told everyone if you remain in country after this date, our troops will be in this place and you're on your own getting home. But that doesn't seem to have happened. It basically was like a collapsing bag, and then everyone was gone. And then there was this, what you see on the screen right now.
Hmm.
Um,
Now, as far as the routes, what I had heard, and I did not read this, this was either on Tribe Stream they were talking about it, or it was Go. Somebody was talking about they've got the U.S. and British forces have got the perimeter around the airport well, but bad guys have their perimeter outside of that. So
right.
anyone coming in, they're letting U.S. and Brits and whatever go through, but if they see someone Afghani, they're pulling them out.
They're pulling them out
They're
and
pulling them
smacking them
out.
down.
Yeah, that's putting it lightly. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
and
beating
and
them and killing them.
what concerns me is, as far as we know, they're letting them in. We don't know if there's an American they didn't like. We wouldn't know if they didn't make it past the Taliban because they're going to drag them out and bring them down an alley and beat them there.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, this has been, excuse my French, it's a bit of a shit show.
Oh, it's a massive shit show. It's
Holy
yeah,
cow! I
and it's like
mean,
there's no way to, as far as like you were saying, how do you vet the people coming in? Even if it's someone saying this was my terp, my interpreter, my terp was with me the whole time. You get your terp
right,
out. He's got family. He could still be a bad guy. There are
right,
still people he could still be, a sleeper. There's loads of them.
and it's funny you mentioned that the sleeper thing, because that's something we've just encouraged a bunch of stupidity overseas. Our border is not very stable at all. And I mean, you and I are in this one of the states
Yeah.
that is seeing it. Um, Sleepers don't just magically appear when something like this happens. Like,
Mm-mm.
who's to say ISIL or ISIS, whatever the hell they're called, and the Tali and Al Qaeda, what's left of Al Qaeda, haven't already put a bunch of guys in South America, in other countries, to learn the local language, the local custom.
Well, sure. I mean, how long did the ones who ran into the buildings in New York, how long did they train? They
Oh
were
yeah,
sleepers. So, I mean, yeah, it's not
yeah,
something that just happens. It seems like it because in the moment of something happening, we're thinking, "Oh my gosh." Like Afghanistan, people are thinking this just happened. We just stood up and walked out 48 hours ago. No, no, this has
No.
been going on for well over a month,
Yeah.
you
And
know,
it's
which is
and
still
it's
really
affecting
fast.
everyone. Yeah. Oh, you're absolutely
I mean,
spot on.
drawdown is that's really fast. So yeah, a lot is being left behind that can't be brought back in that time frame. I mean, it usually takes, and I'm trying to remember what Mr. has told me because that's where my info comes from. So my frame of reference. Usually, it takes a while to ship stuff back. You don't just, well, let's just get up and go. We're leaving tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know,
And yeah, so
the
guys, yeah, everybody just kind of pay attention to what's going on around you.
yeah,
Um, I mean, and the defunding of, I mean, do we need to do certain things? Certain things weren't right. Law enforcement, absolutely, but reducing that footprint, especially with this going on overseas, I'm just concerned we may miss something somewhere. My old man was an old Cold War soldier, and he had told me, make sure you guys visit New York City and go visit like Washington and the fancy places
yeah.
uh, when the kids are older. And he said because one day you may well wake up and a city will be on fire. And he'd said this to me before 9/11.
Yeah.
And so just pay attention, guys. By the way, there was a. Did you see the Chinese supply routes getting all screwed up?
The shipping
Yes.
stuff. I have not looked at any. Well, let me take that back. I looked at something this morning. I saw that, was it Ningbo is reopening slowly, kind of ramping up,
Yeah.
reopening a little bit in stages. I have not seen anything about any other ports, but I haven't looked. I've kind of taken a
So
breather
they've
today
got,
a little bit. So
yeah, and that was me yesterday. I normally will record stuff on Friday, but I was done. And by the way, I'm sure you're appreciating this. It takes a lot of work to kind of put together your graphics, your images, what you're going
it
to talk
does.
about,
Yeah.
set up your room and your lighting
Hmm.
or your audio at least. And after a while, your brain just goes stupid, and you're like, I can't tie my shoes right now. How am I going to
Yeah.
do a video?
Yeah.
But this is a good one. Chinese home appliance company Hisense has big plans to sell more goods overseas, but global shipping congestion has multiplied costs and delays. Out of about 3,400 Chinese companies that operate internationally, only about 200 make more than $1 billion in overseas sales. So that's interesting. They're
Hmm.
still running into logistics problems too. So,
Oh
guys,
yeah.
those of you in the chat who are listening, this is going to affect availability of goods and the price of goods.
Oh, even
So,
more so. Yeah. In fact, Mr. and I were talking earlier today, and I'll throw this out. It's not. It's if you notice, there's a lot of you may be seeing sales on different things. I'm thinking specifically, I had to get a chair for work from home, my new job, because a kitchen chair wasn't cutting it, not comfortable.
no,
So we went out to get an actual little office chair. Holy crap at the prices, number one.
yeah,
And that's a quote unquote sale price. So I went to this like Office Depot or Office Max or Staples, one of those office type places, to look at the chairs so I could actually
oh, yeah,
sit in them, right? And they had the chairs out and it showed they are on sale. That's the regular price. That what they showed was about to be the regular price. One chair I looked at was on quote unquote sale for $109. The what it showed the regular price, which is what it was about to be, is $250.
oh, wow,
Yeah. So it's about to be a big old hike. And I told Mr. Lunch, I said, I've been thinking about it. I said, I suspect, a lot of businesses, new fiscal year starts September 1.
yeah,
I'm wondering if we're about to see a big hike
oh,
September
yeah,
1st.
that's
And
true.
people
Fiscal
are having sales right now to try and get all this out
to
so they
try
can
and dump,
profits right for the end of the fiscal year before everything starts for September 1. So
right,
just throwing that out there, guys. That's a theory I got right now. Not all companies start a new fiscal year in September, but a lot do. A lot.
yeah,
The majority of companies I've ever worked at, businesses, their fiscal year was started September 1. So just something to keep in mind.
yeah.
Retail may be different. I don't know, but that kind of made sense in my brain, and kind of, lines
Well,
up.
it makes sense because if they hold on to it too late, they're going to get hit with
Hmm.
the inventory taxes at the end of the year,
Yep,
and they don't want
exactly.
that either.
Right.
Guys, keep in mind, we had to get Mama a new car. We changed because we had one too many vehicles. Mr. Young man who went on deployment came home, got a different car, and I got stuck with two. Um, but finding a new vehicle in this market,
There are no cars.
no,
There
I
aren't any cars. Mister saw that because I drive. He can't see too well, so I've been driving, and but he can see empty lots, and he's like, "Where are all the cars?" I said, "Babe,
yeah,
there are none. There's no cars.
go
There's."
to a Ford or any dealership near you, and you're going to notice any new vehicles they do have are in the front,
Mhm.
and they're spaced way out
Oh yeah,
to
they're
take up that road space when you drive past, because you look into the lots, it's empty.
yeah. It's like
And
tumbleweeds blowing in between
oh
them.
yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
Now the good thing is if you are trading a new vehicle, uh,
Oh man, they are paying top
yes,
dollar because we actually looked. I said, do we need two vehicles? Maybe can we make do with one? We're hanging on to both right now, and because we have Hondas and
oh,
they
Hondas last
last for a
forever,
long
don't they?
time. Yeah, knock on wood. But I went on like CarMax and just kind of did. They'll tell you how much they'll give you. I put in the information, and we were both floored. We actually thought about it just to get the money. I said we could do a lot with.
X $1,000,
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
absolutely.
yeah. I said, "That's insane." Are you he kept saying, "Are you sure that's right?" I said, "Yeah, it's because there are no cars right now."
And
So
by the
there
way, guys, a tip for all of you based on what Lucky just said. If you can get an estimate from CarMax in writing, and if you go to another dealership and start negotiating and they lowball your trade in, show them that.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah,
that may save you, that may earn you some cash on the trade.
yeah. That's a good point. That's a really good idea. Yeah, because I still think about it because the little, sheet that they give from CarMax, you can even print it off. It's all done online now, and you can print it off, and, it's good for a week or something like that, you know,
Okay,
but
Stuart has one free prep for everyone. Get comfortable in chaos.
a lot of people are not comfortable with chaos. I mean,
No.
look at last year. I
Yeah.
mean, people freaked the hell out, just
Oh,
over food.
food and toilet paper. I mean, well, we should surprise.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, everyone has seen people punch each other for crappy TVs on Black
Cabbage Patch
Friday
dolls
and Cabbage Patch Kids.
back in the 80s, showing my age.
Christmas comes every year. It's not like, holy cow, there's a Christmas all of a sudden. No,
Yeah.
that's every year. Why are y'all punching each other? We're already picking Christmas gifts in August for the family in December because guess what?
Yes.
Christmas comes every year.
No, there were some articles in Supply Chain I saw where they were suggesting go ahead and do your Christmas shopping now because they don't know if there will be anything really available or much available this season.
Yeah,
Um, you know, yeah. So if it's something you're able to do, I know a lot of people, everyone's on a budget, and you do what you can when you can. If it's something you're able to go ahead and do now,
yeah.
if that's something that's really important to you, then go ahead and see if you can do that now. I'm looking at doing it. I generally don't shop quite this early, but I am now.
But I mean, you have a college kid and you find a nice computer backpack. Well, there you go. It's on sale because, all the kids have, in theory, gone to school.
Mm,
Backpack prices come down. Buy them a backpack now, stick it in the closet. Just don't forget where you put it. So then you're scrambling, December 23rd, trying to figure out where the hell it was.
right.
But yeah, guys, jump on things early if you can. There were some sales on MREs lately, but I don't know how long that lasted. They may have been trying to push stuff out the door, like you pointed earlier.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, what did Stuart? Oh no, Virginia Roots. I'm comfortably numb in chaos. What's next?
Yeah. And something else too has just popped in my head. There's a thought going around. People are kind of
Hey,
floating
Gray
that
Man.
there may not be any Black Friday sales this year. There's not there's not much product on the shelves, not much in retail in
Right.
general. If stores are already struggling, will there be a Black Friday? There kind of was last year,
Yeah.
but the shortages had not really hit like they have,
No.
you know.
And D9. So D9's been following me for quite a bit. He's also a fellow Texan. So there we go.
Mhm.
Yet another one. D9. This is she goes by Lucky Dame
For
Preparedness.
formerly
She
Patriot Sandwich Maker.
Formia's Patriot. Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
That one. Formerly Sandwich.
Sandwich. Yes.
Yeah.
So, and somebody, Gray Man, just zipped by here.
Yep.
There you go. I'm giving everyone emergency food kits and knives for
That's a
Christmas.
great gift. I gave one of my siblings, my one sibling who is at least tolerates when I ask, "Are you prepped? Are you doing this?" Doesn't prep, but doesn't shoot me down for it. So,
Right.
so I introduce it every once in a while. But he used to do over the road trucking,
Mhm.
and I gave him a backpack full of Mountain House foods one year, many, many years ago, and he kind of scoffed at it a little bit until something happened while he was on the road, and he kind of got stuck somewhere for a few days
Yeah.
waiting for repairs on his truck, and he was at a rest area where there was just vending machines and water fountains and restrooms, and ta-da, he had that backpack full of food and it saved his bacon.
Yeah.
And he told me about it. Now was he responsible and replenished that backpack? No.
Probably
And
not. No.
no, and that hurt my soul a little bit. But it,
Well, you can
I was
teach if they don't
exactly.
learn. Uh,
Yeah,
that's
you can lead a
basically
horse to water, but you can't hold their head under it. So
no. That's a good way to
to
put
make
it.
them drink.
It's kind of funny. My kids, I used to, because they were all scouts, right? Even the girl, they were all in various scouts. So
Hmm.
as they got old enough to drive, I made a teenage get home bag for them
Yeah.
because obviously there's certain things a high school kid should not have in their bag that grown adults like us can.
Hmm.
And they made it with me based on the knowledge they got from the Cub Scouts and the Boy Scouts. So, and I actually have my sons on the other side of my home office. So at some point, I'm going to actually do a video. I'm going to pull it out and I'm going to open it and see how close he was because he had a list. I kind of helped him get it started. I want to see how close he was to having a decent bag. The high school was only like not even 3 miles away. And for a football player who was on the defensive line, he was a defensive back, so he could run. So running home, he could be home in 10 minutes.
Right.
But did he have what he needed to, in a storm, some kind of emergency, grab his bag, get the heck out of the school, and go home?
Right.
So yeah, folks. To Lucky's point, be sure to take advantage of this lull in the activity. Upgrade your stuff and fill any holes you have. Look at
While
the
people are,
stores.
yeah, I would say while people are focused on food, if you're able to pivot and not focus on food for a few minutes and get other things while everyone's distracted, because people are starting finally starting to notice, hey, stuff's not on the shelf. Hey,
Yeah,
wait a minute, where's the food? So that's starting to get it. People are getting a little bit panicky. Not a lot, but they're
not a
noticing
lot.
it. I'm seeing more and more videos of people who channels who have nothing to do with preparedness whatsoever, but they're starting to make videos and say, "Hey, what's going on here?"
Yeah,
Hey, and they're doing grocery hauls to on their channel now and prepper
yep,
pantry type of things. So people are starting to notice a little bit. So if you're able to, my thinking is because this is what we did last year. We were good on food. Then we actually almost went in a different direction. We didn't get extra food necessarily. We were good. We went for hygiene products, shampoos, toiletries.
yep,
What else? Other things. We're like, what else do we need? Chicken food for our chickens. Pet food, things like that. While it was still inexpensive,
yeah.
because
And pet food's important because you got to
yeah,
feed them. So if you don't have pet food for them, you may have
hmm
to give them people food, which will screw up their
hmm
stomachs. Now you have sick dogs or
right.
cats.
Or they're eating up your chicken, which dogs can eat chicken, but that takes away from your storage for yourself.
Right.
So you've just reduced it. We focused on our water storage as well, which I was so glad we got that taken care of.
Yeah.
It's
And Joe
real
has a
hard
good
to,
point.
yeah.
The stores are full here, but the attitude is an attitude of planning ahead. Yeah, and that's exactly what you have to do. And again, I like what Lucky did, where I'm going to get a bag and give you a bunch of Mountain House meals. Sadly, the person did not refill them,
No, I didn't.
but yeah, I know my daughter now has. She always had a little bag, like I was saying earlier. But then after the freeze, the boyfriend is a former firefighter. He's a physician now, and they're watching people panic in Houston because
mm,
it never freezes in Houston, so absolute disaster for them.
right.
Um, and he was like, "Oh no!" So she said, "We now have upgraded bags, and now we have all sorts of equipment showing up at the house, and so
Mm,
which is good,
yeah.
but they're at least now they're thinking about it and going, hey, so don't give up on the sheeple in your circle, keep poking them a little bit. Maybe they'll get a clue at some point. Um, especially if you make them think it's their idea.
Yeah,
But
that's the trick.
yeah. So guys, look for those. Again, the supply chain's a little bit wonky still. It may get worse. We don't know what's going to happen in the year. So Lucky,
Um,
your prediction.
so
What do
actually,
you
as far
think
as
will
supply
happen?
chain, what I have read from people who are in supply chain and are posting in supply chain forums is they do expect it to continue. Yes, probably still be worse, the same, if not worse, through 22 up to first quarter of 23.
That sounds about right. I
So,
spoke to the meat manager at the big HEB out here, and he said they're hearing from their, and HEB has its own supply chain, like they have
mhm,
their own fishing boats. And
yeah,
for those of you unfamiliar, HEB is a big Texas chain,
yeah,
but they source almost everything regionally for the most part. And he said it's still screwed up. We're going to
yeah,
be kind of hit and miss. He said the basics, so the basic fish, the basic chicken, the basic beef, Texas, Louisiana, the ranch country, we're still going to see it, but it'll be a little hit and miss. But he said he's hearing from stores on the coast that all of a sudden they just don't get any beef for a week, and it's just
wow,
like that.
yeah. I mean, that's that just-in-time shipping, if it doesn't make it there on time, if there's a problem with logistics, there's no truckers to drive the truck to get the foods there if there's not enough
Yeah,
product to put on the shelf. Yeah, so
yeah, and there is a trucker shortage, folks.
there is. Yeah,
A lot of folks let their licenses expire. They went into other industries, and sadly, a lot of people just don't want to do it,
yeah,
even if you pay
it's
them.
it's tough. From my sibling anyway, who did it, he had a rough time with it. He finally got out of it and now works in healthcare.
Yeah,
But I was like, okay.
but they don't come back. We're seeing the same thing in the energy sector. Solar, the big solar farms out west, the wind
Hmm.
farms, oil and gas. Everyone's advertising
Yeah.
job job openings. Nobody can really seem
Oh, that's
to
something I was asking the other night. I said, "What is going on? Where are all the workers?" And it's seems to be across the board, almost in every field.
yeah,
Why is there suddenly a shortage? Did everyone just up and quit? And a lot of people in the chat were saying they thought it was people felt like they were making more on an unemployment. I said, but it seems to be very sudden. Maybe it isn't. Maybe I'm just now seeing it. But it's and I thought for the most part the unemployment and everything had
yeah.
tapered out, but
And I wonder if it's a combination of things. We might be seeing the
it
perfect storm kind of situation.
very well could be. Yeah.
The fear of the Rona, subsidizing by the government, people changing careers. So they may be going to work somewhere, but we're not seeing them in the critical
Right.
jobs. And yeah, this one here, it's a whole article, shrm.org. Basically, shortage of drivers. They're they're saying the industry was short 60,000 drivers in 2018. This was before
Mm.
anything happened. So this is going to keep going on.
I will tell you of a shortage I saw that I'm going to keep an eye on. I read on a forum, a supply forum, people were talking about burnout in the supply, people working in supply chain. It's high stress
Yeah,
because they can't, they're trying to make all the arrangements for the containers, for the shipping, do everything to get the goods from country A to country B and, what have you. And it's extremely high stress. They're working ridiculous hours, long hours. And so there's been a lot of burnout, and there are a lot of people leaving supply chain. So now there's a shortage in a lot of areas, starting to become a shortage of staff in supply chain.
yeah,
And what I read was in some areas, at least, they are pulling the people who are graduating from college who have majored in supply chain.
yeah.
They're straight out of school. They don't, I mean, yes, you have the schooling, but you don't actually know, there's book learning and then there's real world. So they know what to do, but it's
By
very
book.
different. Yes, by book. So they don't really know what to do. And so they're kind of getting a trial by fire and working their behinds into the ground. And then they burn out and
And
leave,
they
or,
leave.
or they leave, or they go to another company in supply chain or in some other capacity somewhere in supply chain that maybe treats them better. They don't have to work as long hours or better salary. But so some areas of supply chain businesses are starting to see some shortages because of that. And I thought,
Yeah.
man, if we start seeing that, it's going to
Look at that.
collapse.
Catskill out today. Saw a sign in Party City, 18 an hour and five. Man,
Wow.
when I was a teenager, I wish I got 18 an hour. You kidding me?
I
And
saw a McDonald's not far
507.
from us that was offering a sign-on bonus. They have a tent set up in the little parking lot, a pop-up in the parking lot of McDonald's,
Yep.
hiring people. Just you get hired on the spot. Basically, if you're a warm body and you show up and you can write your name on the application, you have a job and a sign-on bonus.
Yeah, it's click the comment. Wait, what is Stuart saying here?
Maybe click the comment on how unless you're talking about. Oh, I guess mods.
Oh, somebody got.
Klingon princess. Oh, did you boot somebody? Boot a troll?
I didn't.
If she booted, it looks like maybe if she booted someone by accident, you'll have to go in on your profile and see and unboot them basically.
I don't know how to do that. That's neat. Let's.
You can go in. You can probably go in afterwards and look. It's
yeah.
let's see.
Go.
It's like
I'll
where you can put in
a
few. I think it's under community.
I don't know what I did. I just picked up my phone. Oh no. Okay, so somebody got run off, possibly. Well,
kick everyone out. Get them, Klingon. You don't know what you did. Funny. That's okay. Stuff happens. It's the life of mod.
I kicked out. Oh no, Joe's still there. Joe's here.
Joe, you still here?
Oh, she's like, oh, I got you back. Stuart, Joe is part of
Joe's
Troll
here.
Team 6. We are the good guy. And I'm glad that's fun. That was kind of funny where all of a sudden people, it's like when kids break something and you hear them going, get the broom now before
Hurry.
mom comes.
Yeah. Tell mom
Dad just pulled in. And you hear that and you know something is not right, but you don't know what has happened. And that basically was what we saw.
There's probably a part of you that doesn't want to know what's happened.
I probably don't, God. But no, well, folks, look, pay attention to this stuff. You know, Lucky and I've been chatting and following each other for a while. There's a Klingon princess is quite proud of herself. Look at her. She got her little swords out. Wow. But in any case, guys, look, I'm kind of caught Lucky off guard. So she was running for a headset. But look, there's still a lot of instability, guys. Just take your time, systemic. So, Lucky, you want to give a parting recommendation so I don't drag everyone out? What should they be looking for this week in your mind? I'm putting you on the spot here.
Yeah, I was saying, think whatever. I mean, it's. I don't know if I can give anyone any particular advice other than just, I think we all give the same basic advice, which is keep stacking. I kind of pointed out last night, it's not always just food. Yes, that's what we focus on. If that's what you're starting out with, or you're not quite where you want to be, with food, then keep doing that. But it's other things as well. Make sure you got your hygiene, your pet food. If you own your home or you own your apartment or whatever, make sure you're keeping your maintenance up on that, your vehicles. There's just, it's a lot. And I think it's where people get overwhelmed feeling like it's so much, and it is a lot, but make a list. If you're feeling overwhelmed, I make a list and prioritize. Sometimes it makes a difference to see it on paper, or on your computer.
Yeah,
and you
solid
can
advice.
Yeah, and you can change that list at any time. It's, once you write it down, it's not set in stone. If you have something say, no, I need to do this week instead of that, then you shift the list and you reprioritize everything. Sometimes that'll help keep you on track, especially if you're doing budgeting and all like that, then you can put it on paper and, to see how much you're budgeting for preps, because we have that in our budget. So, I don't have any one thing other than just keep prepping, because it's not going to, I don't think it's going to improve. And I'm very much not one to be a doomer.
Yeah.
No. I like to look at things with, a bit of reality. I look at things with, take it all with a grain of salt, but let me put it like this. So a lot of y'all don't know Mr. my husband, but he's, I'm more of the prepper than he is. He's into it. Don't get me wrong, but I'm much more the one heading it up. I was the one dragging him around last year going, come on, we got to go. We got to get this. He's like, wait, let's just wait and see. I said, we don't have time to wait. You don't understand. I had been following stuff since February, and I was like, no, we don't have time to wait. We got to go now. He sat at lunch today and he, we were talking, and he just sat there and he says, I think we need to go get some more stuff. And I was like, oh boy, that to me, that signal, if he's thinking it, we need to make a run up to Walmart or Aldi or somewhere and get some more things.
And guys, take your time, be systemic, and reach out to the content creators. There are a few that are in the chat right now. You could email us or put questions on chats going forward. Like, if one of us is doing a live, and assuming it doesn't go blowing by and we can't get our eyes on it real quick, yeah, collaborate a little bit. Get some ideas. I mean, every time we listen to each other, in general, I think the content creators, we pick up new ideas in our circles. So, but yeah, don't panic, because then you freeze up, and that's not going to help you at all.
Yeah, and it is hard, I
Mhm.
definitely I catch myself having panicky moments. Like if I go in a store and I suddenly see several shelves bare, it's hard not to have that feeling inside like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god." And I think, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. Deep breath, take a deep breath,
Yeah.
calm down because I know I've got stuff at home and we're good. It's okay. It's okay." And I actually tell myself that and I'm like, "Whoa, chill out. Go to the store with a list so you don't fall into panic buying." Because
Right.
that's easy to do too when you're like, "Oh my gosh, they're out of this. I need it." No, you don't really. You probably
No.
don't need, a big giant number 10 can of pickles or something like,
Or you do what I do. You go to the store. You didn't make a list, and you go, crap. What was that third thing I needed?
Yeah,
And then you get
exactly.
all the way home,
Yep.
unpack, and 20 minutes later, the missus will go, "Did you get the widget?" And I'll go, "Shit." So I'm
No.
go, let me go find my shoes. And that was my own fault. I didn't write it down. So,
Right.
um, yeah, guys, take some time, write it down. And somebody had pointed out, and I don't know if you've heard this, like Mondays, it was to keep them sane during the Rona. And I'm an engineer, so I just make my own schedule. I'm like, okay, I have no schedule, I'll make one. But
Mhm.
this person apparently was not a regular scheduling person. They said, okay, Monday is uh, inventory, check food, and clean kitchen, and then Tuesday was clean garage and check camping equipment, and they just had this little system. Every other day they did something different at a different aspect of their preparedness.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, it's all
yeah,
about,
stop
whatever's
telling me
gonna
no.
work for you. Yeah, but dude, stop
All
telling me
right.
not to panic. It makes me panic. And for some people that does. When you say, "Calm down, don't panic," then that makes them even more
And they
worked
freak
up.
out more.
Yeah,
A Klingon princess feeding the fire.
I know. That's a good mod right there.
Oh, Klingon
She's
is top
keeping the
notch.
chat going. Yes, she is. She is
Yeah.
good.
Although she did kick out Joe, and that was kind of a whole nother conversation on the side right there.
But she brought him back though,
Uh,
so,
yes, she did. She was resurrected.
Yeah.
But in any case, well, guys, look, everybody be safe. Thank you, Lucky, for hopping in last
Yeah, thanks
minute.
for having me up. Appreciate it.
Uh, yeah, we need to wrangle in Josh and get like 3 or 4 Texas preppers all at
Yeah.
one time. I
Yeah,
think that would be hysterical.
well, there's the preparedness community on YouTube here is actually really big. It's
Yeah,
finding other channels. And every once in a while I can tell when the algorithm changes because suddenly I'll have all these other channels being suggested on the main page on YouTube when I come in. I'm like,
right.
"Oh, the algorithm must have changed again because now I'm being these other channels are being recommended to me I've never seen before."
Yeah.
So,
So, as we continue our little journey through the tube, we're going
mhm.
to see that on and off. So,
Yeah.
but guys, be safe this weekend. Be careful on the roads, because there is some weird weather pretty much everywhere
Yeah.
this week. And thanks again to our guest, Lucky.
Thank you so
If
much.
you have
Appreciate it.
not seen her channel, go hop over. Always has good insights. And yes, she has a different icon or avatar every video. So
It's a different picture of myself every time.
yeah. And if she's reporting news, she has a reporter, and so on. So yeah, it's funny to see what it is she's going to come up with next. But everyone, be safe, be careful. Thank you, Lucky, and
Thanks so much.
we're going to cut you guys loose. Have a great Saturday and keep out of trouble.
Bye, guys.